Anyway, no, I was just saying, like, there's a lot of these people that have this overreaction to anything that they perceive to be a feminist issue, and I just don't get it. Like, I don't understand, like the recent thing with the guy's shirt at the, the space thing. I don't understand why people, like, whatever, like, if someone writes an article that says, the shirt is problematic, I don't have this really negative reaction. I don't, like, freak out because maybe I don't agree with the article. I don't have to start a hashtag about it. I don't have to post image memes about it. You know what I'm saying?
What's the shirt story? I don't know that story.
The shirt thing was the guy that like landed the rover on the comet or whatever that thing was.
Oh, the Rosetta Stone thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So he.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And a really tacky shirt, and there was some people that said that the shirt was sexist.
Right.
The thing is that I don't necessarily agree with those people, but I also don't have this really negative reaction that a lot of assholes have, basically.
So you're asking, like, why is it anytime there's an issue that involves women or feminism, there's such a total meltdown online, basically?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like they call people like social justice warriors, but there seem to be the people that always want to have a fight.
What do you think, Matt? This is your beat.
I mean, something I've noticed. And,
I think we all notice it. I mean,
Yeah.
especially working in this business. But I think what he was saying was like basically that why is it that any time there is like apparently like he brought up the Rosetta Stone shirt guy.
Okay. Actually, I was going to talk about that later in the show.
Right. Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But basically, I think just you'll do the whole story, but just so people know what we're talking about, why don't you tell them whatever. The point is that every time someone writes an article on anything to do with a woman's issue, there is not only disagreement, there's like a meltdown. And I guess he was wondering, I guess the point he was making was like, hey, I could disagree with any number of things, but I don't have to have like a tantrum anytime I see something that involves a feminist issue.
I agree with like it's just a bizarre it's to me from just looking at the most recent things that came up, like Gamergate and this whole scientific shirt thing. It's like literally guys don't like that women's opinions are now seeping into what used to be their space. That's how I look at it.
There's probably, that
mean,
makes sense.
Of course there's always been gamer girls, and of course there's always been women in science, but they are you literally can point them out make a poster with just the ones that people talk about, whereas there's hundreds of thousands of men in science who people cite, So, I mean, I really do think that's basically what it comes down to. It's a boys' club that's no longer becoming a boys' club, and you're getting these voices. I mean, like they always say, when someone starts to, you always hear the loudest voices when they start to lose. They realize their culture or their industry is no longer catering just to them and catering to their every whim, and they don't like it. It's bothering them that why can't I wear a shirt with half-naked ladies on it on television while I'm representing the scientific community?
Oh, what? No.
I mean, that's literally what it is, though. Why? Who is this woman think she is critiquing my video games? She doesn't have the right. She is not a true gamer. I mean, it's the no true Scotsman thing when it comes down to, no.
Oh, I don't want to hear about that. I'm glad I don't even know what that is, but every time I got a lot of tweets about that with the Sam Harris debacle. But I get what you're saying.
No, but that's what it is. I mean,
But I also think, I'm sorry. What you finish what you're saying? I guess I also think. See, I think what's really tricky, especially when you're involved in doing work for social justice and reform, basically, is and again, I used this example a couple of weeks ago, but I think it kind of helps to broaden the scope of these things. So it's not just these sort of things that are really hot or triggering or in the news cycle or whatever. But when they studied Reagan Democrats in the 80s, right? And Reagan Democrats were these people who, it's self-explanatory term. They were Democrats who voted for Reagan. But a lot of them, they weren't like, high-earning Democrats who maybe just wanted to get a tax cut. These were people who really were going to feel the pinch from all the things Reagan was doing to the social safety net and to the economy. Just like people now who, earn less and vote Republican. And what they found when they studied them was, and these were definitely white people, was that they did actually have a really strong skepticism about business and the corporate sector, but they felt powerless to do anything about it. And they did feel some power over basically people who they perceived as lower than them on the totem pole. And that's, a really negative version of it. But I think what I noticed, because we got a couple of emails about Gamergate. Okay. You're just adjusting the camera? Yeah. We got a couple of emails about Gamergate. And I try to, because especially for me, I know, because I'm a total outsider to it. So I think it's funny. It's like, whatever, like, get a life. Like, I'm sorry, that's where I'll go joke wise. Like, go take a run, as I always said. But some people were writing in, and you could tell it's like, I guess the point I'm trying to get to is, how do you tell somebody that, of course, in a social, economic, and political sense, they have a lot of privilege, but they personally and psychologically don't feel any privilege in their lives, right? They feel like they're socially marginalized. They don't have, they don't have that many friends. They don't really have much going on. Maybe they don't have great prospects in today's job market. Maybe they don't have a lot of stuff going on. So I think I think part of it is definitely what you're saying, which is just like, hey, you're privileged in a certain space, and when that privilege gets undermined, there's a reaction to it. And that's definitely a big part of what's happening. But I also think that the other thing that's going on is that there's going to be a way of figuring out the language of talking to people about the privilege they do have, but they actually don't feel and experience in any way that's tangible to them. And that's a very subtle point, but I do think that there's something there that cuts across a whole range of issues that are much bigger than Gamergate. Oh, these are like the economics. If
this was just about video games,
no, I know, but I'm saying, but it goes, no, of course, but it goes to people's voting patterns. It goes to people, there's a lot of people, frankly, who, whether it's like some isolated kid who has an outlet in video games, or even someone who, frankly, some, generic privileged white dude who's underwater on 2 mortgages, they don't want to hear about their privilege. They want to hear about how their lives are going to get better. And you do that in a way that talks about everybody's life getting better, and that does implicate some of the privileges they have. But if you just come at them with, here's another thing that you sort of suck about, that's a problematic messaging. So so these are some of the things kind of. We have one more call. Let me take it, and then we'll. Or sorry,
I was just gonna say, another thing that when speaking to privilege, like in an issue like this, where like a woman writer will write about this Shirtgate thing or whatever it's being called,
right?
And let me just change the camera here, and they bring it up, and then other women may come out and say, "Oh, I don't have a problem with it," and men will cite those women as, "See,
well, that's not your shield.
Women don't have a problem with it." But you see, the fact that there are women who are speaking out saying, "I have a problem with this," that shows that there are women who have a problem with it. I mean, I don't understand this whole, just because we find scattered pieces of, a scattered person here, a scattered person there, scattered pieces of opinions that agree with you, that somehow invalidates other people. In this case, other women are invalidated. Other women are invalidated because completely separate women have different opinions. Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I mean, but that's like a classic that's the reason why, you're always looking for, frankly, like, and I mean, look, yeah, there's a big market for people who will deliver your message. That's why the search for African American Republicans. There's nothing particularly, I mean, I would say you just have the courage of your convictions. If you don't buy something, you disagree with something, say it. But the other part that's missing in all of this process is really just any kind of basic empathy and curiosity about somebody else's experience, and that's what I find most frustrating.